Have you ever wondered how one single city could rise, fall, and rise again and still remain alive for more than 2,700 years? How did a small settlement beside a river become the heart of the greatest empire the world had ever known? This is the story of Rome, the city that never died, a place where every brick, every statue, and every ruin tells a story older than memory itself. Rome is more than just a city. It's a living timeline where the ancient world still breathes through the cracks of marble ruins and whispers through the wind that touches the Colosseum and the Pantheon. The streets echo with history. Emperors once marched here, gladiators fought for glory, and philosophers shaped the way we think today. But behind all its glory lies a tale of blood, power, and destiny. A tale that began not with armies or kings, but with a myth, a legend born beside a quiet river guarded by fate itself. So come with me as we travel back to where it all began, to discover how Rome was born, how it fought to survive, and how it became eternal. This is not just history, this is Rome. Long before marble temples and golden palaces filled the skyline, Rome was only a dream, a legend whispered by firelight. It all began with Romulus and Remus, twin brothers abandoned as infants and left beside the Tiber River. Fate intervened in the form of a she-wolf who nursed and protected them until they were found by a shepherd. They grew into strong young men, brave and ambitious, destined to build something greater than themselves. But destiny is cruel. When the time came to choose who would rule the new city, a violent argument broke out. In a tragic twist, Romulus killed his brother Remus, and from that act of blood and ambition, Rome was born in 753 BC. The early Romans were fierce farmers and warriors, hardened by struggle and driven by belief. Their settlement stood on the 7 hills, giving them both defense and strength. Though small, the city's people were united by something powerful, a vision. They believed Rome was chosen by the gods to bring order and greatness to the world. That belief would drive them for centuries. From a mythical beginning rose a real civilization, one that would conquer the world and define what it meant to be powerful, proud, and eternal. As centuries passed, the people of Rome began to reject the rule of kings. In 509 BC, they did something revolutionary. They overthrew their last monarch, Lucius Tarquinius Superbus, and founded a new system, the Roman Republic. No more kings, no absolute power. For the first time, Rome was ruled by its people, through elected officials and a senate. The Republic became a model of discipline and order. Its citizens believed deeply in virtus, the Roman ideal of honor, courage, and duty. Young men served in the army, not just for glory, but for the promise of Rome's greatness. Through relentless wars and smart diplomacy, they expanded across Italy, defeating rivals and forming alliances that strengthened their control. But as their power grew, so did corruption. The Senate, once a council of wisdom, turned into a battlefield of greed. The rich became richer, the poor forgotten. Generals gained more loyalty from their soldiers than the Senate itself, and soon ambition began to tear the Republic apart. Yet even in this turmoil, Rome continued to expand. It conquered lands from Spain to Greece, spreading its language, laws, and culture. The Republic was powerful, but unstable. It was standing on the edge of something new, something that would change history forever. Out of the chaos of the Republic rose one man whose name would echo for eternity, Julius Caesar. A soldier, a strategist, and a visionary, Caesar understood both war and politics like no one else. Through brilliant campaigns, especially in Gaul, he expanded Rome's borders farther than ever before and became beloved by the people and feared by the Senate. But power breeds enemies. When the Senate ordered Caesar to return to Rome without his army, he made a decision that would change the world. He crossed the Rubicon River, declaring war on the Republic itself. "The die is cast," he said, and with that, Rome's fate was sealed. After a brutal civil war, Caesar emerged victorious and declared himself dictator for life. He brought order to chaos, reformed the government, and created the Julian calendar, which we still use today. But his ambition frightened the Senate. On March 15, 44 BC, the Ides of March, Caesar was betrayed by his own friends, stabbed 23 times inside the Senate. Yet, even in death, Caesar achieved what he always desired: immortality. His fall ended the Republic and began a new era, the Age of Emperors. From his ashes would rise Augustus, and Rome would finally become the greatest empire the world had ever known. After Julius Caesar's death, Rome plunged into chaos. Civil wars erupted, generals fought for control, and the Republic seemed doomed. But out of that darkness rose a calm, calculating young man, Octavian, Julius Caesar's adopted son. Through strategy, patience, and political brilliance, he defeated his rivals, including the famous Mark Antony and Cleopatra of Egypt. In 27 BC, the Senate granted him a new title, Augustus, meaning the revered one. And with that, the Roman Empire was born. Augustus became Rome's first emperor, not by force, but by restoring order and hope. He rebuilt cities, repaired temples, expanded trade, and created a stable government that balanced power between himself and the Senate. He also formed a professional army and built a network of roads that connected the vast empire, from Spain to Syria, from Britain to Egypt. Under Augustus, art flourished. Poets wrote masterpieces, and architecture reached new heights. For the first time in centuries, the Roman world was at peace. This peace, known as the Pax Romana, would last for over 200 years. Augustus had achieved what no one before him could. He turned a crumbling republic into a golden empire. Rome was now the heart of the world, beating with glory, faith, and unshakable power. The reign of Pax Romana, meaning Roman peace, was one of the most remarkable periods in human history. For more than 2 centuries, the empire enjoyed stability, prosperity, and order. No wars threatened its core, no chaos tore its heart apart. Trade routes stretched across 3 continents, and people from distant lands walked under the same Roman sun. The Roman roads, paved in stone and precision, connected millions of people. Merchants carried spices from the east, philosophers from Greece shared ideas, and engineers built monuments that still stand today. The Colosseum, Pantheon, and Roman Forum all rose during this age of brilliance. Justice, too, evolved. The Romans developed laws that influenced modern legal systems worldwide, ideas of equality, citizenship, and rights. Education and art flourished. Sculptors carved gods into marble, and architects reached toward the heavens. But beneath the peace, the empire's heart was slowly changing. Power was concentrated in the emperor's hands, and luxury began to replace discipline. The people of Rome had conquered the world, but soon the world would begin to change them. For now, though, Rome shone brighter than ever, a beacon of civilization that stretched from the deserts of Africa to the forests of Britain. If there is one symbol that defines ancient Rome's power and grandeur, it is the Colosseum, a masterpiece of architecture, ambition, and entertainment. Built under Emperor Vespasian and completed by his son Titus around 80 AD, this massive amphitheater could hold over 50,000 spectators. Its arches and corridors were engineering marvels designed with precision that still amazes architects today. But the Colosseum was more than stone. It was a stage for the empire's soul. Here, the people of Rome witnessed epic gladiator battles, wild animal hunts, and even mock sea battles flooded with real water. For the crowd, it was a celebration of strength, courage, and spectacle. For the emperors, it was a way to display their power, to keep the people entertained and loyal. The roar of the crowd, the clash of steel, and the cries of victory echoed through the arena like thunder. It was brutal, yet glorious, a reflection of Rome itself, majestic, ruthless, and eternal. Even today, as the sun sets over its crumbling walls, the Colosseum stands tall, a monument not just to Rome's might, but to humanity's endless hunger for greatness. Rome wasn't just a city of warriors, it was a city of thinkers, builders, and visionaries. Their greatest weapon wasn't the sword, it was engineering. The Romans built more than 250,000 miles of roads, connecting the empire from the deserts of Africa to the snowy peaks of the Alps. Their motto was simple: All roads lead to Rome. And it was true. They built aqueducts, massive stone structures that carried fresh water from mountains into the heart of the city. Clean water flowed into fountains, baths, and homes, something no other civilization of that time had achieved. The Cloaca Maxima, one of the world's earliest sewage systems, kept the city clean and livable. But it wasn't just about utility, it was about perfection. Roman engineers used mathematics and precision to create arches, domes, and concrete so strong that many of their buildings still stand today. Their ideas shaped the future of architecture, roads, and urban design for thousands of years. Rome wasn't built in a day, but what they built changed the world forever. They turned stone into power, water into life, and dreams into monuments that time itself couldn't destroy. As Rome expanded, so did its diversity of beliefs. But in the 1st century, a new faith began to spread quietly through its streets: Christianity. Born from the teachings of Jesus of Nazareth, it preached love, forgiveness, and equality, ideas that challenged Rome's culture of power and conquest. At first, Christians were seen as enemies of the empire. They refused to worship Roman gods or the emperor, and for that, many were persecuted. Thousands were imprisoned, tortured, or executed, even thrown to lions in the Colosseum. But persecution could not kill faith. Instead, it made it stronger. By the 4th century, something extraordinary happened. Emperor Constantine the Great embraced Christianity after claiming to see a divine sign in the sky before battle. He legalized the faith through the Edict of Milan, and soon Christianity became the empire's official religion. Temples turned into churches, and crosses replaced pagan symbols. Rome, once a city of many gods, became the spiritual heart of a new faith that would spread across the world. The Eternal City found a new purpose, not just power, but faith. But even the mightiest empires must face the end. By the 4th and 5th centuries, cracks began to appear in Rome's foundations. Corruption weakened its leaders, greed hollowed its people, and endless wars drained its strength. Barbarian tribes from the north, Visigoths, Vandals, and Huns, saw an opportunity. In 410 AD, the unthinkable happened. Rome was sacked for the first time in nearly 800 years. Fires burned through the streets, and statues of gods lay broken. By 476 AD, the last Roman emperor, Romulus Augustulus, was deposed. The Western Roman Empire had fallen. But though the empire collapsed, the idea of Rome never truly died. Its culture, its laws, its language, Latin, survived in the kingdoms that followed. The Eastern Roman Empire, or Byzantium, continued for another 1,000 years, keeping Rome's legacy alive. Rome fell not because of one enemy, but because of time itself. It became a lesson to the world. Even the greatest power can fade, but greatness leaves footprints that never vanish. Centuries passed, empires rose and fell, but Rome remained, scarred yet standing. Medieval pilgrims came to see the ruins. Renaissance artists, inspired by its glory, filled it with art once again. Michelangelo, Raphael, and Bernini turned the city into a masterpiece reborn. The Vatican rose as the heart of the Christian world, drawing millions of souls seeking peace and faith. Ancient monuments were restored, cathedrals reached for the heavens, and Rome became both ancient and modern, sacred and powerful all at once. Today, as the sunlight falls over the Colosseum and the domes of St. Peter's Basilica, you can still feel the heartbeat of the past. Rome is not a city trapped in history, it is history. Every corner, every echo, every stone reminds us that civilizations may fall, but legends never die. Rome stands as proof that time can break walls, but not spirit. It remains forever the Eternal City. And so ends our journey through time, through war and peace, through marble and faith. Rome was born from myth, raised by empire, tested by faith, and reborn through art. It conquered the world not only with power, but with ideas that still shape our lives today. 2,000 years have passed, yet the Eternal City still stands, proud, graceful, and timeless. Because Rome is not just a place on a map, It's a reminder that greatness is never destroyed, it's only reborn. This was Rome, the city that never died, presented by City Nova, where every city tells a story.